All right, so we are back on the YouTube boxing scene once again. There's a ton of stuff going on, guys. You got YouTube versus TikTok, this massive event. You got Ben Askren and Jake Paul on Triller in less than a month, and while all this stuff's going on, all this craziness has happened, Floyd Mayweather and Logan Paul have been basically forgotten. And I know you guys are going to look at me and go, wait a second, Wade, you wanted this thing to die straight off the rip. You didn't want this thing happening from the beginning. But it does intrigue me that no one's really talking about two of the biggest stars in combat sports right now. Like it or not, Jake Paul, Logan Paul are big names in the combat sports realm. When you have the bigger of the two brothers, not just in size, but also in stardom, Logan Paul is the bigger star. Jake's always living in his shadow, just following his brother around. That's what he does best. But when that guy is fighting Floyd Mayweather, who is the biggest star in boxing and has been for the last decade, as much as I'd want to sit here and say, it's not happening, we killed it, the sport of boxing is saved. One, the sport of boxing is on life support anyway. And two, this fight is actually still happening. So let's check this thing out, man. Logan Paul, intense training to beat Floyd Mayweather. Is he improved at all? Is he taking this time to improve his technique or just to get more rounds in with sparring partners in the ring? Will it help him at all? Does it even matter? Personally, I'd say no. I think Floyd could continue to spend millions of dollars trying to regrow hair that's not there on his head, eat a bag of potato chips every day for the next 3 months, run a couple of miles, put gloves on, and still whip the shit out of Logan Paul. But I'm not the authority here. You guys decide. Let's take a look at this training footage. Logan Paul, intense training to beat Floyd Mayweather. Let's go. Logan straight away on the jump rope. Got him a little hollowed out box. Get a little extra bounce there. You know what I realized? Jake now has a double Dutch partner. Jake and Logan always look good on the jump ropes. They always do. Look at that bounce right there. You could call them the bouncing balding bros. I mean, man's is getting air. I know these guys are marketing geniuses, but just hear me out on the tagline. As the ropes go forward, their hair goes back. Can't really see him there, but he has egg weights in his hands right here, trying to simulate that motion of throwing a punch by rotating those shoulders over and over, and the egg weights in his hands allow him to throw it with some weight behind it. One, so he has something to grab onto and twist. Two, so he has some actual weight in his hands as he throws, right? It is a good little workout to burn the shoulders out. This is probably right after he's done sparring. This right here is good work from Logan. Working the body, rumbling shots together. He's always had great hand speed. The thing I always go back to with him is this. As he leaves range, that lead hand just falls by his side continuously, right? And he's got it trained. He's got that backhand trained to stay up, which is good. But he continues to let that lead hand just kind of float around his hip and just pop off from the hip there. And yeah, he throws his jab from the hip, and that's an awkward angle, and it definitely can be an advantage offensively. And I know this is just him working the body pad. I understand that. But if this is how he trains, and we've seen this is how he fights. He thinks his head movement is quick enough, his upper body movement is quick enough to get away with it. Wasn't against KSI. I don't think it will be against Floyd, but who knows? I mean, he continues to train it, so he must like it. He's got, I mean, his right hand right there is strong. This right hand that lands right here, boom. That's a strong right hand. But again, it's whatever hand that he touches with stays out there. He touches and it falls. He touches and it falls. Now, if he's throwing here and then he wants to throw the right hand behind it, he'll bring this one back just to create that momentum to throw the right hand. But even watch the end of this combination where he throws his right hand. That right hand, when there's nothing behind it, it's going to fall by the hip as well, right? Right hand by the hip. Right hand by the hip. Once again, it happens every single time. He wants to throw, boom, turn over. And once he connects, he just drops that hand by his hip. And it's so hard to teach because what happens when he doesn't connect? And what happens when Floyd Mayweather slides out of the way of that last punch in your combination? You're either overextended, overreaching, or your hand is fallen by the hip. He's going to pull and counter you. I mean, Floyd Mayweather has one of the best pull counter right hands in history. He is going to counter Logan for doing stuff like that 100%. And that's the little stuff that he can't learn in 2, 3, 4, 5 months. It's too much. It's too many years in the game. I don't care how big he is. I don't care the size difference. That stuff will get him beat. It's not even Logan's fault. He's been doing this for a couple of years and not even consistently. He's been doing it consistently for, 8, 9 months, but he hasn't been doing this as an actual boxer for years and years and years. So it's not his fault. But at the same time, you're going in there with Floyd Mayweather. What do you expect? And I'm not saying, by the way, that any of this stuff looks bad right here. Like what I've seen, even in those little 2 sequences we just saw, Logan looks a lot better. His hand speed is really, really fast. He's always had pretty good hand speed, but he's putting shots together in a less stiff manner, at least right there. So those things look good. For a 3-year-in boxer, he looks good. But again, we're not talking about him fighting someone of the same skill level or the same talent level or experience. And that shouldn't surprise you. He's just not as good as one of the best ever. And the size and the weight will not make as much of a difference as people are thinking it will. Shadowboxing looks nice. He's more fluid here than I've seen him in a long time. Hand speed's good. Head movement's non-existent, but it doesn't necessarily have to be when you're shadowboxing. It's good to practice the same habits that you're going to be using in a fight, but that stuff I like. I like that. Rolling the shoulders, looking fluid. You know what you notice a lot with Logan is that he throws the same combo over and over. Again, this is just shadowboxing, and honestly, I like the fact that he doesn't throw a lot of hooks. And you can tell Logan is very comfortable throwing straight punches, and I think he should be. That's where he should live in this fight, throwing straight punches. Because again, his jab is going to be crucial if he wants to win that fight, to maintain and continue to maintain distance from Floyd Mayweather. And I think a guy that would do better to utilize a little less energy. Those hooks sometimes take a lot of energy to throw. And if you miss, you're overswinging and getting caught, especially for a guy like Logan after about a round or so, because his gas tank starts to resemble my bank account. It's completely empty. He's starting to roll the shoulders with the uppercut. Notice that they don't capture his bottom half when he's throwing these uppercuts. If you guys remember back, he did a public workout when he was going to fight KSI the second time, and he tried to run the uppercuts, and he couldn't get the rhythm down. His lactic acid had built up so much so that he just could not move his shoulders. That was a massive indicator for the fight, by the way. He didn't have any rhythm in his feet when he was moving them. And they don't show his feet here, but I'm pretty sure they're planted the way he's throwing them. You would like to be able to move those feet as you throw, because when you do that and you move both your feet and your hands, it shows you got great hand speed, but it also shows your footwork is able to keep up with it. Same 3-punch combo. He's throwing it with some sting here though too, man. Hands are quicker, shoulders are rolling. That's nice. Boom, 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 boom. And he kind of throws a little hook in there as well. Flicks the hook out after, or flicks the jab out after the hook. I'd like to see, instead of just him throwing in a straight line, I'd like to see that combo change an angle, L step, and then another combo, but I don't think he's going to show us that. So here's the answer to the question, is Logan moving his feet as he does these uppercuts? The answer is not at all. Again, it shows great hand speed, and Logan does have very good hand speed. It shows an ability for him to continue with better endurance than we've seen, but it doesn't show us what normally you would want to see from guys, which is as they're throwing punches, their feet are moving too. So 1, they don't get off balance. 2, they can stay quick and explosive. And 3, they can move around if they need to. That right there doesn't show me anything other than Logan's got great hand speed and his shoulders have more endurance than they had before. Nice jab. Hey, I like that. I like that. I like when you give me some variety. Logan jabs, watch this. Jab, lead hand, switch stance. Now watch the backhand uppercut off of it. Something simple, and then he goes back into orthodox. I like that kind of stuff. That's dope to me. I'd be interested to see what would happen if he did go southpaw, if Logan was comfortable with it. Not if he's just throwing that out there for the video, for the cam, but if he actually knew what he was doing out of southpaw, that'd be interesting to see him switch it up from time to time against Floyd. It would drain his gas tank, though, and we already know barely got one to begin with. I don't know why he's doing push-ups. Not exactly sure what that's going to help. We've seen this before. This is Logan standing in one spot, avoiding all shots from the guy that's paid not to hit him. Working, working, working. I like that. I like that. All right, so let's talk about it. What did we see? Well, for one, Logan is doing some of the same stuff he's always done, which is a little bit lazy with the lead hand or whatever hand he finishes the combination with, right? He just pops it out there and drops it. He thinks he can avoid a lot of those shots. And again, we've seen what happens when he can't avoid every shot. Even one shot that he got clipped with against KSI, hit him behind the ear, put him down. So I don't think that's necessarily the best strategy. Again, at this point, there's no changing it. It is a part of who he is as a boxer. It's how he's going to box. It's how he's trained to box. So it is what it is. I think Logan has some of the best hand speed of anybody on YouTube. He's got quick hands. Even when he's throwing with power, he still maintains a level of speed with his hands, and that's something that's definitely, it is pretty impressive. So fair play to him there. It does look like he is a little more fluid, right? Whereas he is usually kind of stiff with the jab, stiff, and then the right hand comes, and that's about it. He does look like he's moving a little better as a boxer. Didn't get to see any sparring, unfortunately. Don't really get to see what happens when there's an able-bodied human in front of him that's not paid to just throw a glove in front of his face and have Logan do this for 30 seconds. So I'm sure there'll be some actual sparring footage that we can break down at some point in the future. But I did want to give you guys this because it doesn't seem like anyone's talking about it. And if we are going to get the fight at all, if we're going to get Logan Paul versus Floyd, even though I don't want it, if we're going to get it, I do want to make sure that we keep up with what the hell's going on. But does Logan Paul look better? Yeah, absolutely he does. Like I said, he's more fluid, it looks like right now, even just with him moving, shadow boxing, hitting the body pad, hitting the bag, he looks a little more fluid. The shots look like they are moving quickly, and his hand speed's always been great. His footwork looks a little better when he actually is moving his feet and not standing in stagnant positions and just rolling his shoulders out. But the real question, Logan's training his tail off. He's doing all the right stuff. Is it going to matter when he steps in there with Floyd Mayweather? Can he get the job done? And the answer is absolutely fucking not. I hate to play spoiler, but that's just how it's going to go.